You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
This week, Governor Kay Ivey said that we are going to stop accepting the federal unemployment stimulus, or the federal stimulus to the unemployment insurance, the $300 a week that the federal government was sending to state unemployment offices to add to their unemployment benefits. So she is stopping it early. It was slated to end in August or September. She's stopping it in June.
On June 19th. So on Juneteenth, which is a historic day in the black community to celebrate the end of slavery. And I just can't help but wonder if that was a coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like,
maybe it wasn't. Maybe
I mean, I just, it's because I think most people, especially white folks, like, like I had no idea what Juneteenth was until last year myself. So I don't know. I'd be willing to give her the benefit of the doubt on that. But the fact that she would be the fact that she would be taking this money out of the economy, I mean, like, there's no sense in it. Like, it doesn't make sense at all. And, the ostensible logic is, we've got an unemployment problem. Our unemployment rate is too high. We need to get people back at work. The unemployment rate is only 3.8% right now. That is like that is very, very close to full employment. You're always going to have a certain amount of unemployment.
The national rate is 6%.
Yeah.
So, it's already incredibly low compared to the rest of the country.
Yeah, and the only jobs that you see, the only places where you see bosses crying about not being able to support or not being able to bring in workers are the worst jobs imaginable. The ones that have no benefits, the ones that have unstable schedules, the ones where you can make minimum wage or sub-minimum wage with tips, the ones where you don't get any benefits, where you don't get health care, where you don't get retirement. Like, those are the jobs. You don't see union shops with these letters out there saying, like, we can't get workers. You don't see engineering firms saying, we can't get workers. It's only the places where they have literally the worst compensation. And so like, what we're being asked to do is to subsidize these businesses, subsidize the McDonald's of the world for their low wages by paying food stamps and by paying for food stamps and things like that, so that they don't have to pay for their workers to pay a minimum wage. Like, literally, part of McDonald's budget is to hire HR people who advise their workers about how to get on food stamps. Like, that's part of their budget. Their budget is not to just pay people what they deserve. It's to advise people to get the government benefits, which, like, I don't have a problem with poor people having with poor people getting food stamps, with poor people getting these things to ensure that they do not starve or they do not die of preventable medical illnesses. But when people talk about whether or not I have a stake in McDonald's having a higher minimum wage, of course I do, because I subsidize their business. Not because I go there. I can't remember the last time I went to McDonald's, but I subsidize their business through my taxes. I mean, it's like...
Right. Well, and when we hear these fast food owners and other service industry bosses talk about, I can't find any workers, they always leave off the last part, which is, I can't find any workers at the wages I'm willing to pay.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of research, first of all, to show that this whining and complaining about I can't find any workers or there's a shortage of this or that particular worker, that has been in the media for decades. For longer than I've been alive, you can find bosses talking about these very same things they're talking about right now. And unfortunately, the media often just sort of republishes whatever business owners like to say without much interrogation. And the other thing is that there has been multiple nonpartisan think tanks that prove that this unemployment benefit is not causing a labor shortage. So it is factually wrong but it does it satisfies a certain gut instinct amongst certain people, particularly in the employer class, to want to bash workers, particularly on the low end. If anything, it should be an expose on how many people are living on the real edge of absolute destitution.
Yeah, I mean, again, the last time that we talked about that, I mentioned that the most a person can make on unemployment in Alabama is like $30,000. And so if you're making if $30,000 a year with kids is better than if it makes more financial sense to be on unemployment than taking your job, then your job is terrible. Your job is terrible. And you don't deserve to have a worker at that wage. You don't deserve to have people. I mean, like the workers understand their economic positions. If you give a worker even at exactly the same as they would make on unemployment, to have a job is so much better because there are opportunities for even potentially a little bit lower than unemployment, because there are these there's the fulfillment of being able to work. Like, I don't want to just people don't want to just sit around all day. There's the fulfillment of being able to work. There is the potential for advancement. There is the long-term benefits. In a job, in a company, workers understand that. So if your job compensation, if your work environment is so bad as to make unemployment look better than your job, then you're a terrible corporation. You're a terrible company, and you don't deserve to have a worker. You don't deserve to have a worker. Like you are not entitled to other, we talk, conservatives talk about entitlement, the entitlement generation and things like that. Like, bosses are not entitled to people's labor at slave wages.
But they think they do.
Oh, they absolutely think they do.
They think they're entitled to it. They think they're entitled to a never-ending flow of people willing to take crap for $8 an hour.
Yeah.
And not even be able to afford their rent or their utilities. I mean, it's really amazing some of the jobs I've been seeing posted for $10 an hour.
Yeah.
Which, especially if you have any children, is not even enough to live.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, if you want workers, then pay them more. And you'll get them. If you pay workers more, you'll get them. Folks, you've been listening to the Valley Labor Report. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Labor Reporters. Follow the show on YouTube at the Valley Labor Report, on Facebook at the Valley Labor Report, so that you can donate to the fundraiser for the mine workers and see the stream. Folks, if you want to see what we're up to throughout the week and get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/The Valley Labor Report. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. David is on Twitter at Radical Unionist. That's spelled RADICL Unionist. If you missed part of the show and want to go back and watch it later, you can search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there, and we also clip segments and release them throughout the week. We upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps. So to see if we are on your listening platform of choice, go to The Valley Labor Report .transistor.fm/subscribe. We've got a website where you can buy our hats and stickers, thevalleylaborreport.org. And if you appreciate our work and want to keep us on the air, consider throwing us a couple dollars a month on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report.